Hey guys, welcome back to the Digital Pen Pals podcast. I'm your host, Zach Schertz, artist, content creator, a bit of everything. I'm here today with a very special guest that I didn't realize that I knew until it hit me when I saw her face. Is Elisa. Hi, Elisa. How are you doing?
Good, thanks. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Um, so yeah,
Great.
I found Elisa through like Instagram and stuff, and then I didn't realize that I knew her, that I went to school with her until we video chatted, and I was like, wait a second, same person. Okay, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So kind of a weird, like, genuinely I found you like through social media, but then also I didn't know that I knew you already. So like that's a really good sign. It just shows that like it's no
That's so
favoritism. It's
funny.
literally just like I really liked your artwork and I reached out and yep, same person.
That's that's great because I had been so we had took a class together and I like kind of followed you from that. Um I had seen your things and I knew you had a podcast going on and like you're on TikTok, you're on Twitch. Time you posted a new podcast episode, I'd be like, "Oh, he's got a podcast. Oh, that's so cool. I want to be on the podcast." And then this happened. I'm like, "Yes, I'm doing a
What
podcast."
it's just like it's just the perfect things aligned. I love that.
Mm,
Oh,
worked out.
yeah, for
Great.
sure. So why don't you introduce yourself to everybody, what you do, and yeah, everything.
Awesome. I'm Elisa. My username is Elimikoart on most social medias. Instagram, that's the one. On Tumblr, it's Elisa Myco Art. Sorry. Anyways, I do fantasy. So I draw a lot of werewolves, a lot of beautiful girls. I'm kind of leaning more into like the horror genre. I'm liking spooky things more and more, and so that's kind of coming
Yeah.
out. It's like I don't know what I'm doing, but it's coming out, and I love it, and it's fun. I've been doing freelance work since I graduated from college in 2019. So there's yeah, um, and I love it. I just love art. It's great.
That's fantastic. Yeah. If you guys haven't already checked out her artwork, please click now on her Instagram. It'll be linked in the description here, and you guys can go check it out to kind of get a visual idea of what we're talking about. But yeah, I have it pulled up here because I always love just having the artist's artwork next to me to kind of like look at and just kind of appreciate it. Yeah, like I was just scrolling through it and I just like was realizing like it's dark, but it's somehow like still like kind of oddly hopeful, if that makes sense. Like I guess the colors and stuff help. So I really enjoy that.
Cool. That's so great because like that's really what I'm trying to portray is like good positive things, but also a little bit of grit, a little bit of eh.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I love that. And yeah, I guess what's your inspiration since you're into fantasy? Has it always been that way or?
Like I grew up loving Lord of the Rings. Princess Mom was a big deal for me. I think yeah, see, but then also for some reason, oh, I know why. It's because I grew up with brothers. Batman, like Vampire D, a lot of kind of more edgy stuff, kind of weave way through that.
Mhm.
So, oh, Legend of Zelda. I love Legend of Zelda. That is a big deal for me. Um, Long as like, oh, sorry. As far as inspiration that I get from, I'm thinking out, but yeah, movies, music. I love bands, Metallica, Muse. I get so much. I get so much from everything.
That's awesome. That's good. It just like is like an accumulation of like who you are and like your interests and stuff. I think that's
Hmm.
awesome. And uh for you, I guess an interesting question is like, because sometimes I like to ask it, since I know that you went to college. For you, what was your reason for going to college? Why did you feel like it was? What do you feel like it was a necessity or?
Well, I think I was kind of in the same direction that you were headed, where it's like, okay, if I'm gonna go for art and I need to go big and I need to go for animation, I want to produce films, I want to like make movies and see my work on the big screen. Um, and so like of course you need to go to school to do that. I don't know of a lot of artists that don't go to school
Right.
and work in animation, you know. But as I went through the program, I was like, oh, that career path's not for me. Let's do something a little more. And so I kind of focused more on like books, like published works. Um, I kind of always just said like I want to do comics. I don't really need a degree to do comics,
Yeah.
but for me, like it was very beneficial to go to school because I met really cool people, got really awesome mentors. The teachers are amazing at the school we went to, and no, it like I think for me personally, I really needed it.
Mhm.
Some people can do it without one, So
That's good. What
good
do you think? What do you
question.
think like the most important thing from school that you learned? Whether that was an experience or maybe like something you actually like, I guess, uh, like on the books learned. I guess.
I think like figure drawing for sure. That
Mhm.
one's super important. Kind of being organized with my work. That
Yeah.
was really tough for me. Like the whole process of like this is how you sketch it and then you line it and then you color it and then you got to really focus on finish. Like that's got to be where a lot of your brain power goes too.
Right.
Of the process, I'd say. Like organizing the process,
Yeah.
deadline, working towards a deadline. That's
Mhm.
really important for like freelance work for sure.
Yeah.
I could go on, but I'll leave it for now.
Yeah. No, like I totally agree with that. Like, and I think what's cool because I checked out your Etsy too because I was curious because I usually kind of dig a little bit before I interview people just to kind of get an idea of like who they are, what they do, and like I was noticing too in your Etsy shop you had a lot of a lot of positive reviews for like meeting deadlines and being like really you were like they enjoyed working with you to make revisions or whatever on characters that they commissioned from you, and I think that was really cool because I have taken a few commissions, some of which I have failed on the deadline, and some of which I have currently that I'm still trying to get done. Not exactly like a set date deadline, but more of like, hey, how's that going? I know it's gonna take a long time, but how's it going? I'm like, it's going good.
Yeah.
If I would actually sit down and start doing it, but um, I get myself so busy with other things like this podcast and stuff that I tend to kind of let that slide by when I shouldn't. But so I really appreciate that you're one of the good ones, the good examples of being good at commission work.
I don't know. Like as a college student, that was like my goal. I was like, if I could just do commissions, I'd be like, I'd made it. I would be a successful artist if I could just do commissions.
Because people want your
And
work.
then, yeah,
That's like
I thought
that's like a
that's
big deal. Like motivation wise, you're like, oh, people like me.
maybe for trying their character. That's awesome. So I really did a lot of that right after I graduated when the quarantine like started because everyone was staying home
Mm-hmm.
and people were playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons and they wanted artwork and so like I loved it. I love drawing Dungeons and Dragons characters for people, but it was like almost too much. I was like, I'm not getting a lot of creative input. Like I get to express myself in certain ways, but I'm like, maybe I like to for myself the most.
Yeah.
So away from the mic. I just kind of pretty quickly from it, but it was a really good experience to talk to all those clients and to figure out what their needs were. And yeah, thank you for saying all
Yeah.
those nice things.
No, you deserve it definitely.
Oh, thanks.
I Yeah, so like you started during like the quarantine doing commissions and stuff, and how did you start that? Because I know a lot of, because I mean this podcast is for pretty much anyone that is a fellow artist or maybe they're still trying to learn to do that. And for those who are interested in learning how to do commissions, like I'm still trying to figure it out, so I kind of know some of the ways you get commissions, but some of them just kind of fell in my lap. People reached out to me. How did you start doing commissions?
So, um, one of the first avenues that I took was Facebook. Oddly enough, I
Hmm.
joined a whole bunch of Dungeons and Dragons Facebook groups.
Yeah, there you go.
Um, and I was like, "Hey guys, this is my art. This is my
Hey
art.
guys.
Doing commissions." And yeah, I started doing that in college, and I would get some every once in a while. It was pretty fun. That's kind of the biggest thing is finding a need, finding like your niche, your audience,
Hmm.
and just hitting them and targeting them.
Yeah.
Um, I did that for a while, and oh, excuse me one second. Kind of moved into just advertising it, just posting it, like anywhere that you have a platform, just get it out there that you are offering missions. I firmly believe that like the more you put out, like you will get that back somehow.
Yeah.
Somehow you'll people will find you, people will want your work, and so I know about you if you're not posting about it, if nobody sees it.
Yeah.
I did that. Twitter was kind of a big one. I was doing World of Warcraft commissions on Twitter.
Hmm.
Yeah, World of Warcraft has a really crazy audience on Twitter that I didn't even know about until I was doing that.
You just gotta find the fan bases, right?
Yeah, yeah, you gotta find those people that love what you can provide for them.
Right. Like I mean, even if you can like draw on a SpongeBob style, find a SpongeBob Facebook group. You never know. Like it could be anything. I think that's awesome.
For sure. Yeah.
That's so cool. And so for you, like, was it because I know this is something that like, I mean, I know we both went through it. The we went through a class about art business or business art business. What is it? Business for art
Business
for
for
art?
the professional artist.
That one.
Yeah, yeah.
Art biz. Yeah, like how to like price and like I guess evaluate your worth for clients and stuff. Did you have a hard time like pricing things for commissions, or how did you get go about doing that?
Kind of did it more of like a I charge per character because I was doing big group party
Oh
portraits.
yeah,
Wants their whole party, to be illustrated. So yeah, per character
that makes
and
sense.
just give you the prices that I did. I think I was starting out at like 35 per character, which for like a I'm not gonna do it right now. It's not that much,
Yeah.
but I could like raise my prices and that's kind of when things started tapering off when I was like, oh, I'm worth more than what I've been charged. Um, I kind of pay me more,
Yeah.
and that's when the average D&D player was like, okay, maybe. And so it filtered out my clientele a lot. But it was good though. I didn't want as many commissions as I was getting, so
Yeah.
just kind of figuring it out. Yeah, you kind of have to think about how much time you're putting into your illustration. Um, you got to think: is this minimum wage per hour? Is this what I want to be paid? It's really difficult. Yeah, like I still don't really know how much to charge. I just totally look at what other people are charging for something similar,
Yeah.
and I just kind of go by that. If I'm like, I don't know what this is worth, and then I just do that. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like been doing the same thing too. When I see artists like, because they'll do those really cool images where they're like either it's on their Instagram feed or they'll post on their stories. They'll have like this little template of like here's like how I do commissions. Like sometimes it's all like in a nice like one because I like graphic design too because that's what I do for my job too, like on on the side. And I I like seeing kind of like these cool like graphic overlays of like, here's, this sketch for this much and full color this much and full body this much or something. And I think that's really cool. And that's something I've been like screenshotting every once in a while to be like, okay, this is what they charge. So I'm hoping to eventually do that because like, alongside like having some sort of like template to tell people like when you're open for commissions how much you charge and stuff and what you do. It's something also I'm trying to do for like this podcast too. Because yeah, not that it's like the worst thing in the world, but like I struggle to kind of like remember everything to tell everybody like, oh, this is what to expect when you're on the podcast, for like scheduling and stuff like that. So I kind of want to like have like a nice little PDF of just like, hey, here's what to expect from the
Ah.
podcast, and here's some guidelines of like what we're doing, just to kind of like make it like really easy to be like, okay, here's the file. Now that you've accepted to be on the podcast, but so I like that kind
Yeah,
of stuff. I think
you
it's really
should totally
fun.
do that.
Yeah.
Um, I totally know what you mean. Just those beautiful printed pages of information that are
Mm-hmm.
easy and clean to read, and they're really cute or
Yeah.
really well designed. So yeah, you should do that
Yeah.
when you have time. You should do
I
that.
definitely should. I've been thinking about it for weeks, and just like recently I've been able to get a lot of so I don't really know when I'm going to be posting like the next episode of the podcast because I'm trying to build up a little bit more of like a buffer for myself because it is sometimes to some weeks it's kind of dry to find someone because I'll reach out to a few people, but either I'm waiting for a response of like when to schedule, or either they don't respond to me at all because they're just too big on social media. They don't see my DM.
Oh,
And so yeah, sometimes some weeks it's kind of dry and I don't really have an episode to like record. I'm like, I could do one by myself, but that's not as fun as like talking to somebody. So yeah, it's definitely been on my to-do
I get
list.
that. Yeah. Um, oh, I had a question for you about
Oh yeah.
when you're schedule everything out. Um, advanced you go. You said you kind of have a buffer.
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't at the moment, but I'm trying to build that right now because I've been living without a buffer, especially like the webcomic I just started because we were talking earlier before the episode even started about she's starting up her own webtoon hopefully soon, right?
Yeah.
And I it's something that I learned too is like I because when I get into something, whether it's like I'm trying to review something to buy or purchase, or I'm learning to do something, I go all in and I just like watch a bajillion all the YouTube videos about it. And the one common theme that I found from a lot of people that do webtoons is like you need a buffer because like once you start posting, like the best way to get discovered is to keep posting weekly and have like a set time or day that you do it, kind of like YouTube. And so like if you can do that with any content creation, whether that's art or whatever your medium is, like or in videos, then you just set yourself up for success because you can keep posting weekly, and then if you miss a week because of something happened or whatever, then it's not like the end of the world because it's like, oh, it's still gonna post today, like something's gonna post, so I have a little bit of a buffer.
Okay.
And so that's what I'm trying to do. I've been kind of like going on the seat of my pants for like the last months, and it just hasn't been working too hot.
Yeah, it is tough to kind of find people, I guess. I don't know. I feel like it, it's fun to talk about stuff like this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can find those artists that you really vibe with and that you gel with, like I don't know how to say his name. But it's that TikTok artist that draws on controllers.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Muraski, I think is how you say his name. Yeah,
Maras.
yeah,
That was the one I listened to. And like it was just so cool to hear kind of his views and your views and kind of how TikTok is successful and how you guys are kind of navigating that. I don't know. I love when successful artists are just open to opportunities like that.
yeah.
Like that's why I did this. I was like, I'm so excited to do this podcast. This is so great. I think it's so fun for people to learn and grow like that. So thank you, Zach, for providing this for all those little YouTubers out there that want
Oh,
to YouTube.
thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been kind of weird. Like this week especially has been like the week where I felt like I'm like actually, because like I had a feeling like I was like this could go somewhere really, like it could be like really helpful for a lot of people, and so that's why like had taken like a long break because like I had someone else, my friend that was I started the podcast with, but he decided he needed to go to a different direction. It wasn't like a fit for him and his content, and so I decided I'm like I want to keep going with it. So took a break and kind of took thought about it a lot, and I really want the podcast to be kind of like an outlet for people to listen to while they draw or do something, and just also in general just to learn because I wish I had something like this. I mean, it probably existed, but because there's a bajillion art podcasts, but I was kind of hoping for something more narrowed down to like people on social media doing artwork because that's kind of what our generation is. We do art online and we post it all the time, and so there's all sorts of different challenges and things that people don't know about doing that. And I think there's other things to learn
Ah,
from other people too, like just like the episodes that's going to be coming out before this one that I did yesterday is with an awesome guy, and his name's Quinn. He does videography, and so I found that really interesting. And so it was cool because as artists, you can kind of realize you can mesh with like any other creative person, and you can learn something from a different craft, which I think is really interesting. So that's kind of what I hope the podcast is for people.
I think that's great. Like, there's so much overlap between mediums like photography, illustration, film. Oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
it's awesome. That's so cool. Uh, you're saying about media and how it's so different now than an artist like 20, 30 years ago. Different ball game. They would have to, like, have you listened to the 3 Point Perspective podcast?
I don't think I
Have you
have. I may have
no?
heard about it though.
Okay. And it's these three guys that are doing this Society of Visual Storytelling. Parker, Will Terry, and Lee White. They're really good. They've been in the business for like 20 years, but they have so much wisdom just about like kind of how they've transitioned from stuff they were doing 20 years ago to like now. Social media is just so crazy, and it really like a toll on you emotionally if you're
Yeah.
too invested into it. And so I think it's really important to kind of look for the people that are successful and then kind of see, okay, is that a life that I want to have? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I feel like with social media success comes not this. I don't want to say like you're not grounded in reality if you're doing well on social media, but like anytime I'm really focused on social media, I'm always looking at my phone. I'm
Mm-hmm.
always like, okay, the numbers, the likes. Oh, why am I getting this? Why am I not getting that? And like, it's good. I think and diligent and like working hard on yourself, your presence. But
Mm-hmm.
that's what I'm getting at. Work
Yeah.
life balance is so important, and you got to be present.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I was on my phone all the time, I would be missing so many moments with my kid.
Yeah.
Like, that is so important to me to watch her grow and to not miss out on that. So, some like don't post anything, and I lose a few followers, but like, it's fine.
Yeah. No, yeah, that makes sense. Like for me, I'm still single and stuff, so like and that's why I feel like I've been trying to push it as hard as I have because I'm like I'm not married yet. I don't have a family to like have to worry about and be responsible. So
Yeah,
I'm like this is my time to like try to build something so that way when I do, it's not like I'm spending all my time. I can just kind of throw something out every once in a while and be fine. Because yeah, that's definitely my goal too is like thinking about, the job work life. I want to be able to have a job that, though at times, like, I've kind of realized the stuff that I want to do is kind of, I'd actually be working more hours than the 9 to 5, I guess. Uh, but at the same time, the ability to be so flexible to be like, oh, so and so needs to go to school. Can you take them? Yeah, sure. I'll just stop recording this video or whatever and I'll just go drop everything and go. And like, I would just
yeah,
love to be able to do that because that's just so cool to me. It's not, I feel like sometimes I get kind of like, almost annoyed to be like on a clock because then I'm like, oh, I have to clock out to do something or like I'm on the clock, that kind of vibe. So I like
yeah,
feeling like no, whatever I produce is that's my job is to produce this stuff. There's not really a timeline, but just produce it. Um, but yeah, like definitely that work balance life between your family and what you do is like tricky. And like I've even struggled with just myself personally, just trying to do stuff, making videos and stuff like that. Just like I don't even want to check. I don't even check my screen time on my phone because I'm like I know how bad it is. I know through a week I probably have racked up 20 something hours on like TikTok, just because I'm making TikToks, watching them to like pick up on trends, and then also being live on TikTok for way more hours than I should be. But I'm like, no, but look, it helped boost my content and got me followers, and that's really cool. But also, it's just like, where does it end? Like I
Where
have to
does
be the
it
one to
end
say,
up?
okay, that's enough this today. Let's go to sleep. It's already 3 in the morning. We need to go to bed. We're single, but we're not inhuman. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. But that's the thing is that you're laying the foundation, you're
mm-hmm.
doing all the hard groundwork, putting in your hours now, so that later, just like you said, like you will be able to go and take your kid to school.
Yeah,
Like you'll limited, like your flexibility will just be unlimited.
yeah.
It will be great. So just keep working hard. You'll get there.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. For you, like, how do you? Because I mean, you have a kid, which I mean, some might say like, oh, having multiple kids is crazy, but I know just having one kid is crazy. How do you balance stuff with yourself, especially because I can imagine you like trying to draw on which I guess I don't know if you draw on an iPad or you draw on like a tablet or anything, but I can imagine like your
The
kid coming
iPad.
up and being like, haha, and like messing up drawings and stuff like that, depending how mobile they are.
Yeah, my daughter, she's almost 2. Um, and uh, the biggest answer to that question, the key to that is just wait till they're sleeping. Just
There you go.
even try.
Yeah, not even worth it.
You know. Yeah. Sometimes if it's like been a pretty busy day and we haven't watched a lot of TV, I'll like put on a show for her and I'll draw right next to her and she's pretty good at uh, doing my drawing flow. But yeah, it's that sometimes my husband will take her and then for an activity and then I'll get like a whole day to be by myself
Yeah,
and like just I'm gonna draw and those are really nice too. But yeah, I know how I balance it. I try to plan. I got this planner from Frannerd. I don't know if you've heard of her. She's a YouTuber. She's
maybe.
a
I feel like I've seen a YouTuber that's all about scheduling and planning and stuff, and I think she came out with like a big like planner book. But that's about all I knew is I've heard about it, but I hadn't like seen her videos or anything.
cute. Check her out if you have time. Um, and so yeah, I have this planner, and that's kind of my secret. Is I just schedule out. Okay, when my kid's asleep, I'm gonna do this, and when she's asleep for the night, I'm gonna do this, this, and this, and then I kind of try to wake up a little bit before she does, so I get like at least 2 hours in the morning before she wakes up. So it's really just setting blocks just to do anything like to put forward like okay just to the line work or just get to the coloring. So I don't know answer but
Yeah,
planning, effective planning. Yeah.
effective planning. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, like I mean, I mentioned the last episode, but yeah, I just all I have is like literally here. Let me just get it. I'll show you since we're on video. It's like it's fun. Uh, so again, this is like old stuff. I haven't like updated it for a while. But yeah, I have like, people's like commissions and stuff on here. Like it's literally just a simple planner thing from a whiteboard because I like whiteboards. I don't know why they're just satisfying, but I got this from like Target, and I
Cool.
just liked it because it was simple, and I have to move stuff around because nothing's like there's things that I do that I don't have to do. Like I don't have to make a video, don't have to make a podcast or whatever, but I do try to like write them down. But like yeah, like this week I haven't really written anything down, but I had stuff from like the week before that I still need to do. But yeah, I'd like write down like, oh, today let's like go on TikTok, make some TikToks. It would be TikTok day because I realized if I plan more than a couple things during a day, I kind of got stressed out and I would end up shutting down and just like not doing that. And
Getting
so
overwhelmed.
yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
so I was like, okay, let's trick my procrastinative self and just like put one thing. And then if I can, here's another thing. But if not, let's just like do it the next day or something. And so I'd have
Yeah.
like a YouTube day or TikTok day, and that was kind of sort of working. But yeah, it's been like a week or two since I've been trying to use that like fully. But when I
That's
was
totally how it
using it, it
goes
was
though.
good. Yeah, it's just
That's the thing. It just ebbs and flows. Like sometimes you're really on it, you get it all done, and then sometimes I don't touch the planner for like a week because life happens, and that's okay.
yeah, yeah. It's like it's weird. You have to kind of find what works for you because like I don't know. It's kind of like art. You learn fundamental stuff about doing something, but you kind of have to figure out your method and what you like and what works for you because otherwise you're just kind of like it's hard to get through it. And so I feel like planning, you kind of have to have your own method. Some people are good at scheduling like by the hour or something, and I'm like, I can't do that. I'll be stressed out and I won't do half the things on there. I don't even know if I'll do one of the things on there. So I have to like be
I think
flexible with myself.
for sure. I think I was like that. I was just overloading my schedule way too much, and then I was like, simplify this. If I get two things done, call it good, and then that's it.
Right.
I liked what you said about how it's same with art too. Like
Mm-hmm.
you can't just be a carbon copy of somebody else. But on the flip side of that, it is super beneficial to like idols, see what they're doing. I heard once a way that made a lot of sense to me, which is like to invent the wheel. It's already been invented. You can what someone else is doing and then just like see, oh, that's how they're solving this problem.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna do that. And then you can do that. If it works for you, great. If it doesn't, something
Right.
else, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Um, do you feel like there's anything like with when you do artwork and stuff that there is like specific you things that you do like in your process? There are things that you have like a like I guess developed yourself to like that maybe someone else doesn't do. Because I know there's things that I do that I kind of like picked up like I guess on my own. Maybe I think they're like exclusive just to or inclusive no exclusive just to me. But um, I don't know if there's anything.
Well, like, what do you think is exclusive to you?
Um, like I feel like I don't know if every artist do that does this, but I've been recently doing it. I've been noticing it as I've been doing more and more pieces, like more character designs. Is I will sit there and I will do like a super rough sketch. That's like kind of like maybe a concept, maybe a little bit details, and then I'll usually draw over it like two more times. So I'll like lower the opacity, draw over it again, and then be like, okay, that's a little bit more details. Let's go into super details, and then I'll draw like turn on the opacity on that one again, and then draw over top of it with like the final sketch. I don't know. Sometimes I'll do that, but I feel like 90% of the time I'm doing that is like drawing over at least once or twice.
I kind of realized I used to not really do that. I would just try really hard to make the first the final sketch. Like I would
Yeah.
get into detailing way too soon,
Mm-hmm.
and then the foundation just wasn't
Fell apart.
correct.
I know what you
Yeah,
mean.
yeah.
You're just like, ah, this went to poop real fast.
You know, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and so what ended up happening is that like I had to kind of like compartmentalize everything, be like, okay, this is the step, and then kind of similar to what you said, where you lower the opacity and things just kind of turned out better that way
Mm-hmm.
because I was focused on like, okay, this is the basic shape of the whole form, and then you go into detailing. Um, but as far as something that is unique to me, maybe sometimes I'll know exactly what I want and I won't thumbnail at all.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but lately, I feel like I've had a lot more success when I do thumbnail. I like just push out every idea, and I hated doing that in school, but
Yeah.
it's so worth it. If you
Yeah.
thumbnail a lot, you'll find the right one within like maybe the last 10 or 5
Yeah.
thumbnails. And I hated that so much. I was
Yeah.
like, but my first idea was good.
Yeah. Especially like when
Oh,
you're talking to other classmates too, and they'd be like, "Oh, I like this one." You're like, "That's the one I hate." I'm like, I don't want to do
I
that.
hate that one. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I guess I'm doing that because if I don't, I look like a dummy who
Yeah.
doesn't listen to
Yeah.
critiques. So like, okay.
Yeah. Oh, that has been super helpful since being outside of college is kind of finding the group, like your peer group, just bouncing off ideas. Kind of like I was saying earlier in the podcast,
Mm-hmm.
having someone to like give you a correction and be like, "Hey, maybe not that way. Maybe this way." That's
Yeah.
so important. Don't work on an island. Don't isolate yourself. And like, I don't know if you do this. I think maybe I did this. Like wanting to show anybody anything because
Mm-hmm.
you're like, oh, it's not good enough, but
Yeah.
and get better, you know?
Yeah. I think something interesting too, because um, I feel like there was like a handful of people that I knew from college, and I don't know. Maybe I was just this. Maybe it was just me. Uh, but I would always be in like, especially figure drawing, because I felt like for me, it almost felt as stressful as like I'm really bad at math. Most artists are, I feel, but at least I'm really bad at math. And I remember that feeling of just feeling like you like want to cry and you're like just terrified and you don't understand anything and you're just frustrated. I would get that all the time in like figure drawing classes, and so like I would look. I'm like hated myself for doing it, but I'd always like look over other people, especially ones I knew were good, and I look at their stuff and then look at mine. I'm like, why does mine look like a third grader drew it? I'm like this, and then I like go to the bathroom. I'm like, I'm gonna go for a bathroom break, and then I would just cry for a bit and be like, okay, back to class. I don't know if anyone
I
else did
definitely had
that.
those moments.
Yeah, I was just like, it's just too much.
Yeah.
It happened at least like maybe like once every 3 weeks or something. I'd have like a mental breakdown. I'm like, I can't draw today. This sucks.
Yeah.
But and like that went just for like anything too, like just seeing people even do digital stuff like I wanted to. Like I didn't know how to do this, and I had a friend who was like super good at it, and I was like, how'd you do that? And he's just like, oh, like you just kind of do this, and kind of just joking. I was like, haha, I'm actually not joking. How do you do that?
Yeah.
Sincerely want to know. But yeah, so like I struggled a lot with feeling like inadequate, I guess, and feeling like the stuff I wanted to make wasn't happening, because I was like, man, if I'm going to be successful, like why can't I already be making some of the high quality stuff? Like I feel like the stuff I'm making now is stuff I wish I was making like my sophomore or junior year of college, versus now where I'm like, well, great, now I'm not in college, so I can't really show off that I can be successful, because I felt like in college I didn't really have like too many projects where I was like demonstrated what I was capable of. Um, but
Same.
I guess
Same.
kind of a long way to ask a question, but for you, how did you deal with feelings of like inadequacy as an artist?
Because I a lot for sure.
Mm-hmm.
A part of the problem was that I didn't really have a focus either. Like I
Mm-hmm.
didn't like I knew I kind of wanted to be in books, but like what does that mean?
Yeah.
Like and really what helped me was having just support, just kind of talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously having other art friends helps too because they kind of know what you're going through because
Mm-hmm.
everybody has this feeling of like, oh, I'm not enough, but they're great.
Yeah.
Like they're so great. Like why would you say that about yourself? Your art is amazing. Don't do that. And so kind of thinking of it in that way, like if you are talking to yourself as if they were a separate person, like they're
Mm-hmm.
your friend, you wouldn't say that to your friend. You wouldn't be like, "Oh yeah, your art sucks. Like stop drawing." You wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Um, so you have to be kind to yourself. You have to understand that, like, yeah, you isn't as good as your teacher's art, who's been drawing for 50 years.
Yeah.
Like, of course, it's not going to be on that same level, but you have time and you'll get
Mm-hmm.
there. Like, understanding whole life to do this.
Yeah.
Um, it's so easy just to kind of get stuck in one moment and you feel like it's never gonna change and but be kind, be supportive of yourself and
Yeah. I think I like
It's
felt
all a feeling, you know.
yeah.
It's really tough to like articulate it, but
Yeah.
what were you gonna say?
Sorry. Yeah, like I feel like some of the people that I really looked up to in college too. It was kind of weird because I'm like I want to be their friends, but I'm not good enough of an artist. And then it's weird cuz like I felt like there was like some barrier where I'm like no, I can't talk to them. They're too good for me. Like
Yeah,
they wouldn't talk
yeah.
to a lowly
Oh.
artist like me. um and yeah, it was funny cuz like some of those people that I like looked up to became my friends and I was like, "Okay, what the heck? Why are we friends now? This is crazy." And cuz I'm like I like it. It's almost weird. It kind of feels like to me, I almost felt like I would see people's artwork before I got to know them, and so it was almost like I was looking at their Instagram and became fans of them. And then when we became friends, it was like, oh my gosh, I'm friends with a famous person. This is so crazy.
That's so
That's what
cool.
it felt like to me. I don't know. Maybe my head was just too like in the clouds and that, but like I felt like that most of the time. But yeah, it was really cool because like I was able to befriend people that like I like really looked up to, and then that for them to like turn around and like be like just as like appreciative about stuff I do, I'd be like, whoa, okay, well maybe I'm not as bad as I thought. Like we have different styles, but I feel like the quality of work is different. But I guess maybe it's just the style or something. Who knows? And yeah, I think that's been really inspiring to watch other friends and people make stuff and be like, oh wow, if they can make that, I can make that. And like recently I got in the mode of like it was like a weird coincidence. I got in the mode of like doing like character turnarounds because like I like to try to do animations every once in a while just to kind of like that's something I still in the back of my brain. I'm like I want to do something with it, but I don't know what yet. Um, and so I've been doing character turnarounds as like a way to like practice and get better at like drawing characters consistently. And so I was starting to do more of those, and then all of a sudden I saw someone on TikTok. I can't remember the name, or maybe it's TM Wilson. I think it's TM Wilson. I'll name drop. But yeah, I think he went to college with us, but I didn't know him. I almost had the chance to meet him, but then I didn't. So anyway, I'm still trying to. I'll get him on the podcast one of these days. But he was
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
those
he's
character
good.
turnarounds, and I was like, dude, that's crazy. He was like doing them on TikTok, and like it was so cool because the videos were so simple, but it was just a time lapse of him working on it, and he would talk about what he's doing, but then he'd also explain the character he's drawing and like why, what he thinks about them, who they are, and I was like, that's so cool. And I was like, I happen to also be doing character turnarounds. I'm like, that inspires me to try harder because if I can get that quality of turnaround, that would be amazing. Um, so I think it's cool to like be inspired by other people that you're friends with. Um,
Oh, big
it's
time.
great.
I love that. A friend in college, she was going to school with me too. We all went to the same school. Anyways,
Hmm.
an iPad and I didn't have one yet. And like I saw her drawing on it. I was like, oh my gosh, those lines. Those lines are amazing. Oh, I love those. And she's like, do you want to try it? You can try it. And she let me like doodle. And I was like, oh, this is like
Uh-huh.
kind of better than a Cintiq. Oh my
It
gosh.
is. I hate it because it's like the old school artists are like, "Oh my gosh, Cintiq," and I'm like, "I guess it works for you, but like, it's not better. It's like it seems like it should be better because it costs more or whatever. I mean,
Hmm.
sometimes it doesn't, but for me, like the iPad was like, no, it's like my lover, dude. I'm just like, I tried in the iPad store
Good.
and I was like, or the Apple store, I should say, and I was like, oh no, game over. Because in my head, I was like, we're gonna buy one of these, aren't we? And I was like, yes, yes, we are.
We are.
and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
literally what initiated everything. Because I tried, like I think like three different tablets. One was like the slate drawing one that I started off on that I didn't really like and it didn't feel comfortable. And then the other two I had were like monitor ones. One of them didn't end up working. It like glitched out on me, so I had to return it. Then I bought another one that was a display tablet, and it just didn't feel right. Like like how there's like that parallax between the screen and where your pen is on the paper on the digital canvas. It just was not working. It was like lagging, and I was like, this feels weird, and I can't think of to draw because I'm so like overly like influenced by like what's happening on the screen. It looks wrong. And so yeah, as soon as I
Yeah.
tried the iPad, I was like, holy cow, this is perfect and feels just like I'm drawing. And there's no
This is a game changer.
ah, and that's when everything changed for me. And I've been doing
Yeah.
digital art ever since.
Oh, it was amazing. After that, after I tried that, me and my husband just went and bought one, and we were like, "This has been the most worthwhile investment that we have made." Like,
Yeah.
it's just, it's so nice. I have a nephew. He kind of dabbles into art, and he was like, "What? what kind of stylus should I use? I'm like, just get the iPad. It's so it's so worth it. He's like, I want to animate. Just get the
Just
iPad.
get the iPad. It does it all.
Just get it.
And you can do it in
It's
your
so good.
bed. You can draw in
Yeah.
the car, which is how I made most. Like I had a long weekend trip, and like I was amazed. I was like, dude, I did like 4 pieces of art, like just on my iPad this weekend. I was like, that was wild. That usually doesn't happen, but thanks to the
That.
iPad,
I
it
love
did.
that. Exactly. You can just take it
It's possible.
and there's it's possible. It's totally possible to just do it wherever. But yeah, I don't know. I think that it's very important to surround yourself with people that inspire you and that
Mm-hmm.
support you. And that's what college was for me. That really provided that for me. I remember it was always like a treat in my life to meet another artist because it I never met like a successful artist till I was like late teens. Like, oh, this is a guy, graphic designer and an illustrator, and that's his real job. That's really cool. Like,
Yeah.
just not that common, I think.
Yeah.
So when you can really find a group of kids that are into it and they're aspiring towards it, can kind of all inspire each other and yeah, kind of what we've been saying this whole time. Friends are good.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, like I think I had met like maybe a graphic designer before college, but I don't think I had met another person that I knew in my neighborhood that she's an artist, and she knew I was into art and stuff, and so she actually like kind of took me under her wing, and like we had like a couple days where she like showed me like the basics of like doing like sketching and shading and stuff and trying to draw realistically. Um, and I was like, oh, that's cool, but I struggled with it. But yeah, besides that, like I mean, she didn't even do that really for like a job or anything. She just it was she's an artist, but it's not like something she does as a career or anything. Um, but yeah, like I'd never really met like another artist beside maybe like I guess maybe YouTube was probably where I maybe saw somebody. Like there was like Draw with Jazza, it's a big one. I was like, oh, there's an artist like actually like making a living off of it. Um, and yeah, so like, and I miss it too. I miss like getting to meet other people, and I guess that's what conventions are for. But hopefully those kind of start coming back. But um, yeah, I miss being able to be at college and just meet like anyone you turn to is an artist because you're all in the same major, and I do kind of miss that a lot.
Do you have contact like anyone local? Do you have local artist friends where you're at?
There is one. They're still in school. But I know that they well, I don't know if they permanently live close by because they were staying with some family at the time. But I do know one other person. Um, and that's kind of about it from school, at least that live close. Um, yeah, I wish I had more, but that's kind of all I know. Usually it's just like online interactions. So I have some friends that I interact with through like either their art streams or my art streams, or just through social media and stuff on TikTok. So I mean, there's people I interact with, just not like in person, I guess, which kind of stinks. But
The
hopefully,
beautiful thing of the internet,
yeah,
though, is that you don't need them in person. It's
yeah,
fine.
yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
hoping I'm hoping to go to a convention whenever those things start opening back up because I know there's a few of them that have been happening, but just it's been a little I don't know. I just haven't been able to plan for it, but I'm hoping the next year to just go to a convention somewhere and meet up with people. I think would be amazing.
Like topic of conventions because like I really wanted to booth this year,
Mhm.
but I guess I that time frame of like applying for it.
Oh, really?
But also it's weird because well, at least I'm living in Utah,
Mhm.
people are like the convention back and everyone from last year that signed up, it was canceled.
Oh man.
Like obviously this
Mhm.
year it was canceled. So it's kind of all rolling over. Everybody that was guaranteed a spot before is getting one now. And so there's like a lot of room for newcomers because
Yeah.
everyone's kind of like, okay, we're set. We're having it this year. But is a whole avenue I would love to go. I would love to meet people in
Yeah.
person, sell my prints in person. Not this, but probably next year it will probably happen. So Yeah,
Right.
FanX is happening here in Utah
Oh, cool.
this month. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there's all
So
sorts of conventions I don't even know about because the only ones I knew
come
about.
if you can.
Yeah,
I
yeah. Um, like I only knew about like CTN and Lightbox because Lightbox was one of the newer ones that people were like, there's like this weird contention between people who were like,
hmm
oh, Lightbox or CTN, which one's better? But like I only went to
Yeah.
one convention and that was CTN back in 2019, in October, and I did that for like my travel study part of the art program at school, and that was in Burbank, California, and like for me
I
that was
went to
like,
the one previous.
oh really? Okay.
I went to
Um,
the 2018 trip for it.
oh,
But
that's
yeah,
awesome.
CTN's cool. I like
Yeah,
CTN. It's
I
cool.
loved it, and I kind of wish I was like, man, I wish I could have done this like every single year. That would have been amazing. Um, but I really liked it because, like, for me, especially because I was like a pivotal point in where I was because I was about to graduate the next year, and I was like, like I have these concepts of like what I would like to do, but I don't know how they mesh together because I'm like I like videos, like doing YouTube, but like how can I myself because I could see other people doing it, but I'm like how can I get myself like my own art and stuff? How can I make that work for me like in video form and also just like everything? Like how does that work? And like just talking to other people and learning about the things that they were doing on their own, and I even got to meet like Ross Draws on YouTube, and just for like a brief moment, and like I was able to ask him like one question because I was like I know I'm only gonna have like 5 seconds with them, so I'm gonna think of just one simple question that I think would be important to know, and I was like, hey, I want to do YouTube as an artist, like what do I do? What's your best recommendation? And he's like, yeah, just like be consistent and have a schedule so that way your audience, the people that follow you, know when you post stuff, and that way they can look forward to it. I mean, that's like a YouTube specific thing. Um, but yeah, like just things like interactions like that really like help inspire me because I remember getting on the plane going back home and like just having that comforting feeling of like, yeah, this is where I'm supposed to be. This is what I'm supposed to do, and I felt like a clear direction of like where I wanted to go just because I had those interactions with other artists, and kind of had like a higher hopes and like yeah, like it's not just some like pipe dream. It's something that can be real, because all these other people did it, you know.
It's so awesome to see people that work so hard and they're at this amazing place that you feel like I'm never going to be able to do that. But they were totally where you were
Mm-hmm.
years and years ago. You can do it too. Did the I don't want to talk too much about school, but do you
Uh-huh.
remember the readings class?
Yeah.
I don't know if the teacher told you about that Tom Brady story about how he was like a football player.
Yeah.
In high school he was so slow, he was skinny, he wasn't good at football. um and then he just worked so hard and he worked at it and he like trained and he trained this the Tom, am I getting his name
I don't think I remember the story, but I think Tom Brady sound I don't know.
wrong?
He's a football player.
Mm.
one of
He's a
one of the
football
greats,
player.
whatever.
He's super famous now.
Super
Like
famous.
if you
Yeah.
are into football, you know who that is.
Yeah.
That is, and like I went up to the teacher, I was like, we can all do that. If we just all like work really hard, we can be where we want to be.
Yeah.
But it is tough. Have the focus, the motivation to I don't know. It's
Yeah.
how much dedication you need to like achieve your goal. And how that's kind of not a thing anymore in a lot of society.
Uh-huh.
People just I think I'm getting too like philosophical, but it's just work hard. Just work hard, guys.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, that's something I've been realizing too. I also talked about it in the last podcast, but I think it's like it's really important. Um, but like I realized there's a difference between um motivation and determination, and people like a lot of artists are like, oh, I'm not motivated to do something, And then I'm like, oh, it's actually not about motivation. Motivation comes and goes. That's like constant. It's constantly inconstant or inconsistent. And determination is like like I guess I haven't looked at the definition, but to me it's like the determination is the drive that you have to do something because you want it, or you're just like disciplined enough to do it. And I feel like determination is like something that you can control versus your motivation. I feel like a motivation can spark ideas and help push you to like start something, but then you have to like dig into determination to do that. So like anyone who's an artist, like me starting doing all this other stuff and doing the podcast and things, like it's started with a spark of motivation, like holy cow, this would be so cool, and then it gets to the point where you're like, oh wow, I have to do this for like a long time, and I this is gonna take a while. Like no one's watching, no one's listening, no one's doing this, no one's seeing my artwork, and then you kind of realize the long term game is like, hey, if you want this, you kind of have to pay your dues, put in the years that it might take for you to even get discovered, and then hopefully it'll turn into a career. It's just like if you work long and hard enough for something, like it's not like you're gonna lose followers consistently. Let's say for like this day and age, like you're not gonna lose followers on Instagram because you know you aren't as good as you want to be. You're still gonna keep consistently gaining followers. It's just very very slow. Like you might get a follower a week or something if you're lucky. But yeah, it's more. I think it's more about like determination and focusing on your goals and realizing that the things you want aren't going to come instantaneously. They do require work. Even though this day and age we get everything instantaneously, we have to like work towards being way more patient because we're not used to that.
This about the internet is so instant shopping, instant viewing. If if I'm trying to watch a YouTube video and it's like loading super slow, I'm like, ah! I get so mad.
Back in like 2006, that was normal. You'd pause the video, wait for it to buffer, and come back to it. I remember that.
Yeah.
But nowadays, it's like so instantaneous. Like if there's any buffer, you're like, oh my gosh, this is unwatchable.
can't can't watch it too much. Oh yeah. It's patience is really a thing we're not born with, and we really gotta just work at it. And I could go on about all that kind of stuff. Let's art
Yeah.
stuff. What are some other art things we can talk about?
Yeah. I guess where do you kind of see yourself going? Because you like fantasy, do you see that at like, because I know every once in a while us artists will kind of like dive into something else. Like I know I do it all the time still. I usually do certain types of art and then I'll jump around and like be like, oh, let's try this random thing. Do you feel like you're eventually gonna like branch off into other things too? Like what are some things that you might think you might do in the future?
I know I love doing book covers. I've done a few of those,
Ooh, those are
and
fun. Yeah.
yeah,
I actually did
it's just
one.
one
Those are
image.
cool. Yeah.
Just one image. All you have to do. It's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
um, comics and book illustration all in my wheelhouse. I feel like doing a web comic is kind of, I don't know, I've done it for a long time, but I've just not the right story for it.
Mhm.
And then also I did that. I was like, I'm not at that level yet where I'm okay
Yeah.
with having, like you look back at stuff and projects that you made and you're like, maybe I should have waited to do that. Maybe I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I would really love to do like card game art.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
I don't know. That's kind of a different thing.
Yeah.
Character design, really stylized, cartoony character. Do you know Caleb Staker?
I think I do. Yes, I do. I
Really
do. I
good.
do. Yeah.
Everyone in the internet, go find Caleb Staker. He
Mhm.
has this amazing um, oh, we're still recording. Oh, thank you. He got me some ice cream. Sorry,
Oh
sorry.
no, that's fine. That's perfect. Like it's this is reality. I don't edit or trim. I only trim the beginning and end of the podcast so it like fits in the video, but the middle part I leave it all open so it's totally normal.
It's
It's,
raw.
it's raw. Stuff happens to me too. Like sometimes my dog will be at the door. I'm like, "Oh crap, I got to go get my dog. She's like wanting in my bedroom." It happens.
um, Philip Saker, he has this really cool stylized characters that
Mhm.
he does. We kind of to do a project. It was just a personal project, just to kind of get myself more character design in my portfolio.
Mhm.
And I was doing stuff that I would naturally do, but it kind of felt like cartoony. I feel like I want to kind of go that route sometimes,
Yeah.
but it's such a not a chore, but I have to like flex my
Yeah.
art skills to try and think that way and to think of like shape,
Yeah.
language. I'm a very line oriented person. I
Uh-huh.
do that. That comes naturally to me. So when I do like Gravity Falls style art or like Adventure Time, it's like this is really fun. What I do, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I would like to do stuff like that more, I guess. As far as character design goes.
Mhm.
Like I love Bob's Burgers.
Yeah.
Hilarious. And those characters are so weird. When
Uh-huh.
I first started watching that show, I was like, this is a little off-putting. The
Uh-huh.
visuals are kind of super weird, but the show's hilarious, so like it grew on me. But
Yeah.
I think I'd like to do some wacky stylized characters like that at
Yeah.
some point.
Yeah, those are fun. I feel like that's like lately all I've been doing. Cuz I've been like I guess that's like kind of been my focus since like a long time ago cuz like I always struggled to like do realism cuz I'm like, but this isn't fun cuz they look too real. I'm like, I want to find a balance between, kind of like, Disney and Pixar does, where they have, weird proportions, but they work like dimensionally as a character because they're like, oh, there's like volume. That's like my big thing is I love trying to figure out how to do volume in characters, so that way they like don't look flat or anything. But yeah, I totally get what you mean. Like
That's
it's like
cool.
not natural, but like you're trying to like lean into it, you know?
Sometimes that though, because it's like it might be due to my artistic self
Yeah.
if I'm trying a way of doing things. That's kind of been a struggle for me throughout my artistic growth is figuring out the style.
Uh-huh.
I love that TikTok thing that you have where you're like, you're looking for the style. Where's the style?
Yeah, exactly.
So weird because it's like stuff that you kind of have to do from muscle memory
Mhm.
and then like conscious, okay, we gotta make this, gotta make the eyes like this.
Mhm.
Just draw. Stop thinking about
Yeah.
it and just draw.
Yeah. Yeah, cuz like I feel like I just like let it happen. I'll like visually try to absorb stuff and then later I'll like draw and then some of it comes out through like some of the little things that I do. Like maybe I'll draw the eye differently or I'll do like coloring differently. Um yeah, so like and that's the thing I learned about art style too is like it's one of the major things I like want to make like a video about is because I think it's such a big topic that a lot of people struggle with is what I learned is like art style kind of you can't force it, it just kind of happens. You can try like other people's styles and stuff like that, look at other artworks, but at the end of the day it's not something you force because you're like, oh, how do I like logically in my head already plan out a style and then make it happen on paper. It's like doesn't work. And sometimes people think they don't have a style but they always do because they themselves don't see it because they're too familiar with their own artwork and they have to have someone else look at it and tell them, hey, you have a style. Because that's what I started learning in school too. People be like, oh yeah, I can see your style. I'm like, wait, what's my style? Because like, tell me, because like, I don't know. Tell me my style because I'm looking for it. I'm desperate. I'm like,
I
whoa, sorry,
love
that was a
that.
bit too much. Yeah. What qualities do you see in this? Because I sincerely don't know.
Yeah. What what are my strengths? I don't know what they are. Yeah.
Please tell me, because I think it looks horrible. But please tell me what's good about it.
I think that's one of the best compliments that I got. like just hearing that, like, oh, I like your style. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I have one? I didn't know. I
Yeah.
didn't know I had one. But it's cool. I feel like within the last 6 months, I've really kind of figured out how to do what I want my hand to do,
Right.
you know? I think that really is from just finding your internet idols, your art idols, the people that you want to be like. This one artist, Gold Jack, I looked at what she was doing. Oh, I know exactly how she did that. I love that. I can do that because like I understood it and I knew how to apply it. So like say my work's a little derivative. I don't mind that. I
Mm-hmm.
would admit, yeah, it is. But that stuff is very unique to me. My stuff's not going to be like as amazing and dynamic as Wolf Skull Jack. She does like really awesome werewolves, and it's like
Okay.
a lot of things and teeth and claws, and I'm
Hmm.
like, I love it. I would love to do stuff like what she's
Yeah.
making. Um, kind of finding her, and then finding you, you're kind of a little Frankenstein of
Mm-hmm.
all the artists that you love.
Yeah.
You take little bits and pieces from everybody, and then you something totally new. And so I feel like my style has kind of just been developing into something that I really like.
Yeah.
I know how to reproduce it. When you get that sweet spot, it's like,
Yeah.
good.
Now
It's very
you have
good.
like a minimum. You're like, okay, at minimum, I produce this type of artwork.
And that is nice. I mean, sometimes that doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
Sometimes my minimum is like, that happened to me recently. I was drawing something and I hadn't drawn in a few days. And I was
Mm-hmm.
like, this. And so I just need to, I told myself that I need to go back to the basics, got to do my fundamental figure drawings on a real piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And I like, I was like, oh, I love this. I love just the tactile experience of
Yeah.
like a drawing pad, and how it has that grit, that tooth.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. I love it. Anyways, that's out of a funk. If you feel like you're
Yeah.
drawing bad, a little bit, and then
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you do when you kind of feel like whatever you're seeing isn't up to standards?
I guess like what I do when I feel like I'm in a funk or something, I because actually I had this happen a few months ago, where I took a huge like break in like doing everything that I was doing from like streaming and YouTube and stuff, and I was like super burnt out, and I didn't feel like I had any sort of creativity left in me, and then I felt like I kind of fell out of love with like drawing too because I was like, dude, like I can't just stream myself drawing art because now I'm like making art for people versus like before I was like making it on my own or something. And so I had like no passion for it and I felt like I didn't want to draw. So I had to like let myself sit for like at least like a week or two without like really doing anything. And I was like, I'm not going to draw until I feel like drawing. And then um, there was like one day where I was like, okay, I think I could like draw something. So I started sitting down and drawing again and I was like, okay, that felt kind of good. And then like another day or two went by, and I was like, okay, I actually kind of want to draw. And eventually it started building up to where the point where I was like, okay, like I want to draw every day, and I'd get annoyed, like, well, even when I'm at work or something, I'd be like, man, I want to like pull up my iPad and draw right now, but I can't. Dang it. Uh, and so it became like more of like it was like a part of me again, and I was like, okay, we found it. There's the sweet spot again, and I kind of learned that I just have to like be constantly doing stuff because the reason I would get into like a funk or feel like I'm uncreative is like stopping. So if I stopped, then that's when like it got a little harder. It's like exercise, like if you take a week or two off from exercising, then to go back on another run or something or go lift weights again, you're like, "Oh boy, we're starting from the bottom again, aren't we?" That's what it kind of felt like to me. So I feel like I've been trying to do that more often. Sometimes a day or two will go by without me drawing, but I feel like as long as it's like a few days, then it's not like a huge deal. But yeah, if it's like a week or two, it's like, oh, okay, that's getting dangerous. We gotta get to drawing again, even if it's just whatever I want to draw. Um, so yeah, like that's kind of what I did. Um, I don't know, like I usually just go on Pinterest, scroll for a while, find something I like, and
Love
just kind of
Pinterest.
copy it on the side, and then I'll be like, okay, cool, I like that. I didn't draw that, but I wish I did. I kind of just like eyeballed it and sketched it and traced it basically. But then I'll be like, okay, I'll open up a new canvas and I'll be like, okay, how do I like maybe apply something that was inspirational here to something new? And then I'll just start sketching a bunch of things until I finally find something like, oh, I like that. Let's move that layer to another new canvas because I know it'll fit Instagram because now I'm inspired. And bam, let's create this art illustration. So that's kind of like my weird like jump around process of like when I feel like really stuck, I'll do that, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. It's
That's really
kind
cool.
of confusing,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Oh, that works. I think one of the best things you can do is just kind of go back to the basics. Why
Mm-hmm.
do you like to draw? What do
Yep.
you like to draw? Do that. If you're not doing that, why are you drawing?
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. You need to build an audience. You need to, fulfill your audience's needs. And so sometimes that means drawing what you don't feel like drawing that day. But
Yeah.
man, Twitch, I don't even know how you do that. Like, I
Oh,
think
it's
about,
such another world. It's a
think
whole other
about
world.
Yeah, yeah. There was a time when I was like, do I need to be on Twitch? Maybe I should be on Twitch. And I thought about how just like recording a drawing video
Mm-hmm.
is like, I
Yeah.
can't imagine
I
doing that live.
yeah. I think the secret to like the video part, like if you just want to like record videos, um, you know, either because like Procreate on the iPad will usually just like auto record the time lapse.
Yeah, love that.
Um,
Love that.
or I guess sometimes it's hard because sometimes the drawing time lapse isn't as long as you want for a video. Like if you wanted to do commentary, so like what I would recommend doing is like recording. I don't know. I haven't done it yet. I've been meaning to, but either taking those recordings and slowing them down so they're a little bit slower time lapses. You know what I mean? So like fills up a little bit more space in a video because sometimes they're only like a couple minutes long and it's like it's not enough. Just show like the whole process and talk
Like
about it.
drawing live with like people. I
Yeah.
don't know. I I need to watch one of your streams.
Yeah.
I need to see how that
I
goes.
should be streaming tomorrow actually, so if you want to like tune in, I'm planning on streaming tomorrow. I don't know if it'll be like the greatest example of a stream, but it'll at least be something.
It'll be a stream. That's all
It'll
I
be
need
a
to
stream.
see.
We'll see what comes out. I never know. I plan the stream to be like, okay, we're gonna make something. Sometimes I have an idea and sometimes I don't. And tomorrow might be one of those times where I'm like, I don't have an idea. Let's come up with one.
See, that's what I love about that is that
Yeah.
it's kind of like, what should I draw? And then they can talk to you and tell you about whatever they think you should draw.
Yeah.
I think I've seen a few people do that where they're like, this is what we made last night at the stream. And I'm like, oh, so it's cute and collaborative. That's
Yeah.
nice. That's
Yeah.
very nice.
Yeah. But yeah, with like the time lapse stuff, and if you wanted to get into it, um, like I would just suggest like having like the recorded time lapse, and then um, you can just talk over it and um, just narrate it. Use your mic or whatever, and just like talk about it. And again, I think like the best thing to do because like you can just literally sit there and hit play the video and then hit record on your mic and then just like talk like basically live during the video, or like I guess if you use like depending what software you use, you can even just like record it right there on the software to like be perfectly timed to the video. But like what I usually do is um I might play it and then I would just like record my voice over it. So like either you can edit the audio
Yeah.
or just like have it be completely raw, just like this podcast, and just have it like go throughout the whole thing. Um, but yeah,
With
streaming's weird too. But
time lapse recording, I think I did that on my YouTube channel. There's kind of an older one where I go over like a line of action for figure studies, and I kind of basically just did like a little lecture. Like when you took figure drawing, I was a TA during like my time
oh,
there. Like I
that's
was
what
a
it
figure
was.
drawing
Okay,
TA.
yeah, because I think I remember that. Yeah,
Was that your TA?
I
I don't
think I think
remember.
you probably were. I feel like you were, because like I feel like the figure drawing, at least the first one I took, was so long ago. But yeah, I feel like I
Yeah.
remember you sitting up there being a TA.
Yeah, that happened
Yeah.
a few times. So, like this weird thing where when I'm trying to explain a principle, a principle of design or art, I get into like this TA mode, and I was like, I don't know if I like that.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's good. And I'm sure that I could do more art education stuff because I think
Mm-hmm.
that's great. I love teaching and kind of sharing what I know in a kind of for free way.
Yeah.
um, but I don't know. For my last few YouTube videos, I've just done music, which is kind of I love those calming YouTube videos where it's just
Mm,
like a time lapse and it's just beautiful music.
yeah.
So I don't know. I gotta switch it up.
Yeah.
My
I,
YouTube's not very big, but
yeah.
take it.
I think like one inspiration like current for me right now is I don't know if you've heard of Nina is it Nina Dorland, I think is her name.
It's a visual artist or a
Uh I always forget. I always mispronounce her last name. I think Dorland. Sorry, let me search this up real fast.
that's all right. Let me
Dorland.
just can be quiet for a little bit.
Yeah, I forget. Oh goodness, because I always see her stuff too. That's what's funny. Is like I've been following her for a while, and I keep seeing her stuff all the time, and then I'll forget her name. Um, it'd be funny too if it's exactly just Nino Dorlan, because I think that's what it is. Ah, okay. Let me try YouTube real quick, because she's really
You're
cool.
good, man.
Um, but I really like her because she's very chill. So like she actually came with her own comic book, which I think is something that you might be into. Um, she does a lot of more
Okay.
animal stuff. Oh, it's Dina. Goodness, there we go. So her name's Dina Norland. I'll send you the link. But yeah, she's really cool. She does like a lot of like just she streams every once in a while. She doesn't stream often, but when she does, she interacts with her audience really well, and I think that's like something I'm like trying to like take into my own stream is like doing these cool collaborations where she actually what's fun about her streams is she'll do well typically not all of them but she'll do like a character design challenge. So she'll do like random character design challenge. She has like a whole jar full of like random animals and creatures, and then she'll pick them out on stream and be like, okay, so we have this. Like she did it for videos too before she started streaming. Um, but yeah, she'd pick them out and be like, okay, today we have these two things that we're gonna try to combine. And so she'd look at references on Pinterest, have like little boards saved, and then she'd be like, okay, I'm gonna start sketching some of these pins that I'm seeing, kind of
Cool.
start warming up, getting an idea of it. And like, okay, how can I mix these two together? Then she'd do a sketch, and then so I think that her process was really interesting, and just whatever project she's working on, she shares about it. Like the comic book she did was really successful, and she showed how she like flatted colors and did everything. So I think like what I'm trying to focus on too, and I think like a lot of people should like take into account because like I've been trying to figure out how to do art stuff for videos. I think just like pick a project that you're passionate enough about, and then be like instead of thinking about the content, being like, okay, I'm doing this project. What can I show and tell other people about what I'm doing with this project that might be educational or helpful to them? And so I think that's what I'm
Mm.
getting into is like, okay, well, I'm getting into comics and I'm starting to get better at like just character designs and stuff in general. So I can like just do a time lapse video of me like doing this and then like talk about it while I'm doing it maybe or just have a voiceover, who knows. Um but I think just yeah, having some sort of project idea in mind and then making your content out of what you're already doing so it's a lot easier because you're already doing it. And it's
Right.
not
Yeah.
specific for video. It's just like, well, I'm doing it anyway. May as well take some footage of myself doing it and then make a little video out of it. You know?
Yeah. That totally makes sense. I love that. Like with the you know October's coming up. You have a whole bunch of drawing
Mm-hmm.
challenges with October draw Halloween. I don't know how or whatever. Um, to kind of take those and use them to my advantage
Mm-hmm.
as creating concept art for this comic book that I'm like not even sure is a thing yet.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can do a challenge. I can do all the sketches this month. I can do all the finished works next month. I think that's a really smart way to go. Like, kind of look at the whatever you want to do. You want to do YouTube videos, you want to do
I mean, TikTok's huge, so
games,
even
whatever.
TikTok's
Oh, TikTok.
TikTok's crazy cool.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Oh, TikTok. Addicted to stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a give and take.
For me, like, yeah.
Yeah. TikTok's interesting.
That's a really good way of putting that.
Yeah. But yeah,
Figure
like
that one out too.
yeah, but yeah, like for like the comic that I'm doing now, that only has like 2 episodes out right now, like I just treat like I told you before, like I'm just treating each episode like a project. Be like, okay, well, if it looks ugly, the next episode I'll make it look better. Or if it doesn't work very well, then the next
Yeah.
episode I'll keep learning. So like kind of going back to like what you said about like how, oh, like we don't feel like we're ready or good enough for like a project. Like, oh, maybe I should have waited to start that project. But I think that's kind of the point, is like you're never to that point that you think you're gonna be. And like for the comic I'm working on, I don't even have like the storyline worked out yet at all. Like it was literally just based off of like, oh, I made one interesting little thumbnail and I was like, I like this. I'm like, he's a simple character and I like this. What if I just made him into a comic? And so, each episode's a challenge to like try to think of the next step in the storyline. Maybe eventually I'll have like a little thing plotted out. But I think like when you start projects, I don't know, sometimes you can just kind of go in without even planning it. And I think that's okay, because the hardest part's starting it
Yeah.
sometimes. So I was just like, I'm going to start it because I've been talking
True.
about doing a comic forever. Why not? Why couldn't it be just as simple as this little thing? I don't know. Simple story for now.
And just see where it goes. And
Yeah.
if it I think what you said is very true about and then if it's not working out, then learn from that in your
Mm-hmm.
next piece. The guy I was telling you about with that other podcast, the 3 Point Perspective, Jake Parker, he's the creator of
Yeah, I love
Gilbert.
Jake Parker. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's so good. Um, like mottos is finished, not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Like don't over something agonizing over it to like look a certain way or make sure it's like exactly what it is. Just finish it.
Yeah.
And then you can work on it and that's the important thing is finishing illustrations and getting work under your belt, like experience for sure. Um I don't know. I think I'm excited though. This is like I love planning things.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was a kid, anytime I could go and like be on, I would get the information that I'm going on a trip, and I'd be like, okay, I'm gonna wear this and this, and I'm gonna do this and do this. And I think it's a way that I can like make it more real, even though it's not happening yet.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why planning is cool for me. I love doing that, and
Right.
so I even did that today. I like made this whole deadline. Like I made my due dates. I made like what I'm gonna do 6 thumbnails, and then I'm gonna do 3 roughs, and then so it's I don't know. It's one of the ways that I just express that and get all that excitement out. But I don't know. It's just cool to kind of see how every artist works individually. Like
Right.
I'm a little bit more of a planner and you're a little bit more of a let's just go, let's do it. You
Sometimes
know?
plan, but mostly just go for it without any
Yeah.
thought.
And I think I need to do that a little bit more too. Like I overthink sometimes. Like I just need to do it and
Yeah.
not forget about it.
Yeah,
But
because like
everybody's different.
yeah, because like I have other stories too that I'm like planning and like actually writing out like character profiles and stuff where I'm like, okay, specific things. But yeah, I'm like for this one, I'm like it's my first official like episodic comic, so I'm like, let's just have it be my trial piece. It'll be okay.
There
It's
you
not
go.
gonna be horrible. It's not like it's gonna be like a failure. It's just gonna be a comic that I did to start off. Still
Uh,
valid. So whatever.
For sure. I had meant to look at it before this podcast, but I
Oh,
didn't
you're
get a
good.
chance to.
It's
But I think I saw
it's
something a
simple.
little bit
Yeah,
about it.
it's
But
very simple. It's nothing crazy yet.
I'll look at it. It's exciting. I love webcomics, and I think that just a really cool medium that
Hmm.
you can do a lot with. Like I was talking to my friend about Lore Olympus and how
Hmm.
they're like selling Lore Olympus merch at Hot Topic or
Wow.
Box Lunch. Like that cool. That artist was just a little indie webtoon. I forget her name. Their name.
Yeah.
No. But it got to that point where like almost every artist that I've talked to knows about Lore Olympus, and
Mm-hmm.
there's merch of it now. You can
Yeah.
buy it in the store. I think I want that for every artist that wants to make web like that.
Yeah.
That's so everyone should do go for that. Go that big.
Yeah. I interviewed uh the creator of if you know Suitor Armor on Webtoons.
I don't think
Anyway, that's a
of
huge
them,
one.
but
That's like pretty close to like status of like over like a million or something subscribers to it. But yeah, she works full time for Webtoons now, and I was able to get her on the podcast like it was like months and months ago. So it's down there if you want to check it out. Like I think you'd probably really enjoy it because like I loved it because like that's what kind of got me into thinking about, okay, I need to start like actually doing a comic or planning for it. Um,
yeah.
because like yeah, she's like essentially, I mean, on paper living the dream, doing comics full time, and she talks about how production works and how it even started because she just started posting her comic and people went crazy, and she's like, oh holy cow, this is crazy. And then Webtoons is like, hey, do you want to work full time for us? She's like, heck yeah. What the heck. And they basically took off the comic, kind of redid some of the first episodes, and then just started reposting it, and it's like an official webtoon series now, which is crazy.
I'm sure it's hard though.
Oh
Like
yeah,
comics take so much time
but she has
and
like everything
energy.
planned out, so she's very like you, very planned. So she's got like the next like long period of things like figured out, like what's happening in the story. So she's like not like me where I'm trying to even right now trying to figure out, okay, where does this episode going? I don't know.
That out. What's it called again? Suit. What is it called?
Suitor Armor, Suitor, and then armor. So it's about a enchanted suit of armor that the main character falls in love with, basically. It's very fantasy, very up your alley, I
Nice.
think.
Yes. I love that.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I'll be into that for sure.
yeah, for sure.
Because when you first said that, I'm like Alphonse Eric from Full Metal or Elric from Full Metal Alchemist.
Full Metal
Oh,
Alchemist. Yeah, no.
oh, fun show. Cool, awesome. Um, anything else that you want to ask or that we should talk about?
I think we covered quite a bit. I think that was really good stuff to talk about because I think it's important stuff that we brought up. I think. Um,
I hope I was coherent.
yeah, no, you're fine. Yeah, we're all a little
Okay,
discoherent here, so we're all good. Like no one,
good,
everyone's coherent. We're
good.
fine. Um, but yeah, just thank you so much for being on the podcast. And I guess
Ah,
since we're now here
thank
at
you,
the
Zach.
end, of course, is there any sort of something you might want to say to aspiring artists, or you can shout out whatever social media stuff or things you want people to know or follow you for, or go to your Etsy shop. I don't know.
If you like prints, go to my Etsy shop. As far as for artists, as much as you want to. So if you don't feel like drawing, that's all right. Take a break, do something else, hang out with friends, watch a movie, get those, get muscles relax, let yourself relax. Don't don't get just about getting better. Just enjoy the process and enjoy the journey of discovering on how you like to draw it, and it'll if you work hard and if you put stuff out there, it will come back to you. You will get commissions, you will get sales, you will get patrons if that's what you're into.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just relax and work hard. There you
Yeah,
go.
that works.
Yeah. But yeah, again, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube at Elimikoart. Um, and if you want to talk to me, I'm always down to talk to you. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm cool to make friends for sure. Thank you so much, Zach. This has been so much fun talking to you. I love
Yeah,
it. I love
it's good.
talking
I,
art
I feel like
stuffs.
for me, it's kind of my way of like bringing back the sociality of like college because I miss that, and feeling so inspired
Yeah.
at college. And then when you're at home, you're just like, now I'm by myself, and so I like being
Yeah,
able to chat with other artists because it helps me push through the week, you know.
sure. Yeah. Anytime. If you're like just needing a
Mm-hmm.
drawing buddy to Zoom, let me know and we can just draw and like do this and talk to each other.
Awesome.
So, yeah,
That sounds good.
sure.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Elise, for being a part of this episode of the podcast. It was great chatting with you. And again, guys, go follow her on all the other social media platforms. Go show some love. Go like and comment on some of her stuff. Because, yeah, every artist deserves a little bit of love. So thank you guys
Thanks.
so much for tuning in this week. And I'll catch you in the next one. See you guys.